a consistent setup found for doing a pretty large skip in the furnace that skipped right to the in-game content without ever saving any of the family members. And then Garbon's improved on that world record. I think it's now currently held by Coughing Rocks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for any percent. Yeah.
But the any percent record was improved even further by actually using the exact skip that was used in the task. So that was found to be RTA viable. And so that's what we saw last time. Last time that was a very short category. It basically just picked up a few power-ups and used them to skip directly to the in-game content. This time, however, we're doing all bosses, which means we will be saving all of the members of the family. We will be seeing a lot more of the game. The side effect of that is that there's a lot more opportunity for mistakes to be made, but there's also a lot more opportunities for this run to be perhaps more consistent and more enjoyable. So most of this run is really centered around these really dense rooms filled with enemies and just trying our hardest to keep our power-ups through the rooms. These rooms can be incredibly challenging, and they almost all end with a boss, and that being one of them. There you go. Yeah, go for it. The power-ups that we started with were the 2 speed shoes. Those give us quite a bit of speed. Did you actually pick up 2 of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, Garbon's is using 2 speed shoes upgrades. They actually stack in the SNES version. That's really the most significant difference between the SNES version and the Genesis version of this game, is that the SNES version actually allows you to pick up 2 speed shoes upgrades that allow you to go really, really fast. In fact, it's those speed shoe upgrades that allow us to be able to do the any percent category at all. That's really the reason why the world record is done on SNES versus Genesis in the first place. And the other major upgrade is you notice that Garbon's is holding a sword. That sword is used in the boss fights, and a lot of times it feels like the game wasn't really intended for you to bring the sword in. I guess they thought that the opportunities that they gave you the sword, there's no chance you would hold on to it by the time you actually got all the way to the bosses. So a lot of times it really feels like it's almost unfair to the boss for you to even be able to bring the sword in, because the boss will go down just in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. Well, that still kept it for a while, like longer than they usually do.
So there you can see really what happens when Garbon's takes a hit. You lose all of those power-ups, and that can be really significant. You notice that really what the main issue is that the strats in each room change significantly based on your speed. Situations in which you would have been able to cleanly jump over long segments of spikes, now you have to line up those enemy cycles. Now you have to really deftly avoid a lot of those enemies that really get in your way. And your health becomes a real issue because of that. So.
Okay, there's going to be another speed shoe power-up coming up, though, so this won't be as fast as if I had to, but still.
Garbon's is able to use the select button to really return to the main portion of the house at any point, and so we can use that to regain speed shoe upgrades, get another sword if we choose to, before we head out to another section of the house. This all takes place on the grounds.
Another thing is just because of the way this game works, sometimes if you weren't able to select back to the house, you'd have to go a really long way to get back to the house, so it's a lot faster in most situations.
So this is what bosses look like when you don't have the sword. The invincibility frames can be quite long. You spend a lot of time waiting and having to match up with enemy cycles rather than just stick them with the pointy end.
So now I'm just gonna. So this is probably a good time for donations. Like when I'm refilling power-ups.
Sure. We've got $11 from Bubus Lee. Great cause by great people and great runners.
Okay, this is actually kind of notable. It's actually really hard to beat this with. When I have double speed 2, it's hard to beat this without taking like how I want to. Okay, if I go the wrong way, I can just slide off, and that causes me to lose my power-ups.
Yeah, that boss's movement, it basically gets started really fast, and it can be tough to get close enough to actually hit it with the sword. So. This is kind of a fun speed game to run because of the really severe trade-off. If you've ever tried playing this game, the really severe trade-off between, obviously, the speed of having all of those shoe upgrades is really significant for a speed run, but it changes the way the game plays significantly. You know, if you want to play it a little bit easier, you can play it with a slightly slower speed, but obviously the trade-off there is that your time won't be as fast. It's very difficult to control Gomez with double speed shoes.
So now we're entering the crypt. This is really the toughest section, I'd say, to keep speed shoes. There's one section coming up later, Jester's Jump, which has really precise jumps that it's pretty tough even casually. And when you have double speed shoes, like, I don't know, I don't really even see how it's feasible yet to beat it with double speed shoes plus sword.
Yeah, this place is really rough in general.
So a good thing about having double speed shoes is that it really increases the utility of the invincibility. You can keep, like, since it's off waste for a set amount of time.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You don't see that invincibility upgrade in a lot of spots in the mansion, but with full speed, it really does mean that you can get a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to the invincibility.
Okay, fine, I'll just let it. Yeah. Okay, this section is probably one of the most annoying sections, like, when you're playing casually.
The platforming in this room is really tough, and with the double speed upgrade, it's really tough to time out those jumps right before you're about to hit the edge of it, the window, for not bonking your head on the ceiling, but preventing yourself from just running off the edge is very small.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, it's like, normally I would take an intentional death there, but since I had doubles, like, the way this game works is that after you hit a switch, it's permanently in the same position after you take a death. So I would have intentionally died there after hitting the switch to save some time in Jester's Jump, but I had full health, so it wouldn't have been worth it.
I've heard people say that they really they remember playing this game. They're familiar with it, and I think that sometimes for games like this that are really dense on the enemies and they can be really clumsy to navigate, it's hard to look at this game as a good speedrun. But I would say this is actually a really great speedrun because aside from a little bit of slippery controls, and obviously the rooms are designed to be just full of enemies, to be almost to the point of annoyance. The game does control pretty well. It can be difficult to learn to control well, but it does control well, and I think it makes for a really nice speed game because of it. You get massive speed boosts, so it's really fun to learn to maintain that speed throughout the stages, especially if you just learn the any % route. It's a very short category to learn. A really solid run is 5-6 minutes, so.
Yeah. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to avoid taking damage.
This is probably an okay moment for a few donations.
Yeah.
Sure, we have $5 from Indy162. Good luck, Garbins Curdy. It's Friday, that's a sign. Fun fact, Wednesday's second name is Friday. It's Friday, my dudes. Good luck, #GomezFace.
Oh yeah, thanks, Indy. Hey, in case you're wondering, Indy, that's in Drag Pack. He's another speedrunner of this game. He recently started getting back into all bosses, so yeah, be sure to drop and follow.
We have $15 from Seriously Crunchy. Much love to all the unsung heroes behind the scenes, as well as all the runners.
Actually, just gonna take intentional death here because otherwise, like, the boss is gonna come up, and to do the quick kill, I need to have I need to have at least 4 hearts. So I want to try to avoid having to take another intentional death at the boss.
Death is actually really not very punishing in this game. In the worst case, you will have to restart the room. As long as you have the lives for it, you either will restart the room, or for particularly long rooms, sometimes there will be checkpoints within the room. But in terms of a speed game, as far as health management is concerned, it's not as tight as it might seem just because of the fact that you can often use a quick death in order to sort of get back to where you need to be.
Okay.
Oh, really nice.
So what you saw there, I was like, if you press select before the family member thanks you, but after the music plays, you can skip the cutscene where the family member saves you. But the timing's kind of tight. But there's a visual cue, like after the door opens, that's when you can start selecting. So.
You've now seen two bosses without the sword, so you can kind of see why the sword is so valuable. Those bosses go down so much more quickly when you don't have to worry about timing out their invincibility frames to bounce on their head or something like that. Also, just in general, the sword tends to be a really nice tool for the rooms themselves. You can find yourself sometimes moving so fast and using the sword as sort of a safety net when you find yourself running headfirst into an enemy that you were not expecting to. Getting a last-minute swing can sometimes save you when you're in trouble. But unfortunately, while there's a lot of speed shoes stored within the rooms themselves, the sword is a lot less frequently seen. So I say as we pass one sword.
We've got $30 from Right Field Coder. This game looks creaky and kooky, mysterious and spooky, altogether ooky.
Yeah, Adam's family.
Snap, snap.
So like this jump, for example, normally you have to hit the switches there, but since I had double speed shoes, I could just jump through it, so lots of places where they can save time. Well, still coming for a while though. There's going to be another set of speeches coming up, so I'll at least have like one stacked one way.
We've got $20 from Miss Zoe. Been waiting for the Addams Family run all week. Thank you for running this amazing game. Donation goes to the runner's choice.
What's coming up?
The Super Monkey Ball in Task Run still needs to be met.
Oh yeah, definitely put it towards that.
This game has a pretty small but pretty, I'd say, tight-knit speedrunning community. InDragPack has run this at ESA in the past, and Garbans has run this at this marathon, and there's a lot of working together to really make this run as good as possible. And it's been really nice to see that, especially when any percent was so contentious for a little while. Everyone was trying to improve that run. The current world record for any percent, as I mentioned earlier, is still by Coughing Rocks. He's a really fantastic speedrunner. And a few other people have done runs of any percent, but it's really been InDragPack and Garbans here who have worked so hard on the All Bosses run. Just because, if I'm not mistaken, All Bosses is more closely resembling what any percent used to be before the big skip was found. So.
Oh yeah. And also probably Coughing Rocks will pick up this category pretty soon too. So
yeah, I wouldn't be terribly surprised.
Watch out for that. Okay, that's actually a really precise jump. You have to jump from that exact place, and there's really not too big of a window. Okay, this is actually a pretty challenging part. Okay. I was considering taking potential death here, but it's looking like I may not need to.
At the very least, it'd be nice to be able to hold on to that sword.
Yeah. Oh, there's actually another. There's going to be another sword though before the boss, so that's really not the biggest deal.
I was about to say commentator's curse.
Yeah.
We've got $25 from Billy Bob 8476. Hey all, keep fighting the good fight against cancer, no matter how late at night it is, or early morning.
So this power up I have now, this basically just trivializes this room. It basically just lets you fly over this is the Fez copter. It just lets you fly, but you always lose it after finishing a room.
It is really interesting how something as small as the speed shoes upgrade can change your strats in the rooms. Even between just having one upgrade and two upgrades. I've never run all bosses. It's amazing to watch him run this because there's so many more stages in this than there are in the any percent run. The any percent run has probably a grand total of 8 rooms you really have to learn properly, and this is probably 10 times as many rooms you have to really properly learn.
Also, I guess one thing worth noting, this section, it's generally, like, it's basically not as hard, but this would be a lot harder if I actually kept those speed shoes from earlier. Just controlling Gomez is much harder. But I want to keep the sword because it, like usual, I'll just pick the boss, yeah. But this is generally a good time for, this is just an honest roll, so yeah. And also, that's a thing you can do.
I didn't even realize you could do that.
I think I did it on accident once, and it really actually makes the room a lot harder for a lot of it.
Yeah, because a lot of times you can stand on it and put you in a good position.
Yeah.
We have $20 and oh, here we go.
Okay, so this boss actually, it's you can't defeat it in one hit just because of the way she moves.
Nice.
So we have $20.18 from Mirren. Love you guys.
I love you too.
So these trips are a lot quicker if you don't have to get back the sword because that's like all the way in a different area. So yeah. Okay.
That was...
So just with the momentum of Gomez, it can seem pretty random sometimes. So it can be really hard to keep. That's just another reason why it's really hard to keep it in. Like, I don't know. Like it can't always be like consistent. So runs can just die from stuff like that. So there's actually a lot of skips in this area too. Like, you saw me, like, normally have to go through a lot more runes, but there's, like, a whole bunch of skips in this, so it's a lot quicker than normal. Okay. Okay, yeah, I can actually have to, so I don't have to go back. That'll really help. That'll probably save, like, 20, 25 seconds from having to go back. So, now we're going to be entering the furnace. This is definitely, like, one of the places where it's least feasible to keep speed shoes and sword.
Will you have another chance to outfit before the end of the run?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the furnace can be pretty rough. There's a lot of opportunities for you to take a hit, and there's a lot of opportunities for you to just try to skip some of the annoying parts by intentionally taking a hit. So holding on to all of those power-ups may not be possible, but fortunately this is not the only opportunity to get our power-ups, and it won't be the most important part. The most important part is definitely going to be at the end.
Yeah, you can just, like, this section's really, okay, well, you have to jump there, but you can just, like, walk through a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of the patterns in this game actually work really nicely if you have no speed upgrades. A lot of things just get out of your way if you just keep walking without ever slowing down. That was one of the things I meant to mention about the difference between having the different speed upgrades is how you navigate a lot of those obstacles, or whether or not you even have to navigate them in the first place, changes dramatically based on whether or not you have those power-ups.
Okay, so this is an instance I'm just going to take intentional death. It's really hard to beat this section without taking death if you only have 2 hearts. So, just taking intentional death there.
We have $100 from Anonymous. Took the whole week off from work since I knew I was gonna mess up my whole sleep schedule. Put this 100 towards the task run because I gotta see that.
So there's actually like a skip here that skips a whole bunch of this. It's kind of obscure. I didn't know about it for a while, but you can skip straight to the final section of this area. Really makes it a lot shorter. And it's kind of sad in a way that a lot of these are there because I feel like it'd be fun to play some of these just with having to do those. See, a lot of this is just about taking intentional damage boosts. And the boss coming up, it's just basically, it has the same pattern every time, so it's just basically memorization. And I'm probably not going to go for the skip here because it's hard to see a visual cue, and if you mess up the cutscene skip by doing it too early, you have to redo the whole thing, so it's not worth it.
Nice.
We have $50 from Gospel. Hello guys, a nurse and a gamer. I have to donate to fight against one of the biggest enemies in society, and if playing video games helps in any way, I want to be a part of it. Good luck and greetings from the Isle of Man.
Okay, there's something notable coming up. I'm gonna attempt to do a door clip. It isn't necessary, but if I can get it one of the first 3 tries, it'll save time.
So Garbanzo was trying to use the momentum and the combination of the momentum, the backwards jump, and the sword swing in order to manipulate their hitbox to go straight through that door. The door ends up opening anyway after a certain amount of time after the music's played. That door is supposed to stop you from hitting the in-game content until you've rescued all of the family members. And that's exactly what Garbanzo would have done in the any % run if we hadn't rescued all of the family members, so.
So there's a secret area here that it just makes it a bit safer. I don't know exactly how to activate it, but yeah, it's just safer than going through the chains there.
I have to say it, even though I may end up, the whole commentator's curse thing, but this is the point in the run where a lot of the upgrades stop appearing. There's a few more speed shoes throughout this section, but there's no more sword, and this is probably the segment of the game where there's the most pronounced difference between fighting the boss as intended and keeping the sword. Honestly, there is no reason for any game developer to expect that you would be even capable of bringing the sword all the way to the final boss. With the gauntlet of rooms that you have to go through and the fact that it doesn't provide any more upgrades past this point, the idea that a player could manage to get the sword all the way to the end is just inconceivable. And yet, if possible, if we can get the sword all the way there, it's going to turn the boss from a really complicated and annoying waiting game all the way to just finishing the boss in just a few seconds.
Okay, hitboxes here can be annoying. And momentum, okay.
Fortunately, over the course of routing any percent, a lot of these rooms have really been studied to figure out fairly safe strats for them. Whether or not Garbons actually ends up going for those safe strats or ends up really pushing their luck, it's going to be pretty significant. It's at least nice to know that the routing that's happened for these levels has addressed some of the need for consistency.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just playing with hitboxes. Like, the hitboxes, they can seem strange, but they're generally consistent.
They are, and having that sword, I mean, it's kind of a double issue. The sword, on one hand, makes you more stressed out because you really want to bring it to the end, but at the same time, it's a huge safety net for you because you find yourself facing down an enemy in your way, and you can just take it out quickly with the sword. So.
Okay, so I'm only intended to use the gondola here.
Yeah, you can actually skip the gondola in this room. Okay, yep, that's what we're doing.
I don't know how to do this with double speed shoes, like with that taking damage. So I guess I just want to be here. Okay.
That was so close. This was the last room. We're now going into the vault where it wouldn't have been an issue anymore. The gondola skip, which is what Garbanzo just did right there, is incredibly challenging. The thought of doing that in a marathon run would have terrified me, but Garbans has done this so many times. It's incredibly challenging to make it through there, both with speed shoes and just skipping the gondola entirely. But now we'll fight the boss as intended. There's actually still skips in this fight you can do. You can manage to get 2 hits per cycle, which really shouldn't be particularly possible.
I'm not. Okay, that's never happened before. But actually, there's another hit I can do though, so I can still like get a good cycle. I actually need to be careful because I just need to avoid one of these. Okay, so I should be good now.
And time is coming up fairly soon.
Yeah.
Time. That was a really great run. I'd say pretty much went exactly textbook, except for, you know, the last second mishap in the gondola skip, but otherwise that was a pretty much perfect run.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the time?
28:10.
Oh, nice. That's a good time. Yeah. Really happy with that. So yeah, and yeah.
All right. Well,
So,
thanks for letting us show off Adam's Family twice now. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, let's get a round of applause for Adam's Family. Well, that was a pretty crazy run. We have $10 from Gadzek. Almost forgot to throw my money at you. Phew. So we have $10 from Tombolino. Keep on the great work, guys. You are awesome. We also have a $500 donation from Anonymous. I love AGDQ and look forward to it every year. Here's $500 for both great entertainment and a great cause. And always remember, the best Final Fantasy has always been the Demon Rush.